Hey guys, VGamersNRV here, back with another video, and today I'm back with some more Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. In the last episode, we started off our final day of trial for Rise from the Ashes, and it ended with us finding out that the real killer in the SL9 case, or, well, the person who actually killed Neil Marshall was actually Emma. She accidentally shoved him into a armor stand that had a very large sword pointing out, and that's how he got stabbed in the back, and a piece of that sword got broken off inside of him, and that's how he died. But the broken tip that was found from inside Neil's body was said to be from Joe Dark's knife. It's a piece of forged evidence that Lana and Gant made. And by using that piece of evidence, they declared Joe Dark to be the one who killed Neil Marshall, got him convicted guilty of that, and sentenced him to death. He is dead. And that was all revealed. Turns out that Joe Dark was killed on set to death on false evidence, and was not even the real killer of Neil Marshall. He killed all those other people. He did. He's not completely innocent. He did kill like the other 4 people that they mentioned, but he did not kill Neil Marshall, which is the conviction that led to his sentence. And according to Gant, the prosecution for the case is responsible for everything having to do with evidence. So all of this just falls right back on Edgeworth, even though he didn't know he was presenting falsified evidence. So Edgeworth is in a very tough position right now. That's where we left off. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Gumshoe, you have some impeccable timing. You have some crazy timing, I swear. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe. What is it? You got a lot of nerve, pal. Making a detective run around while on duty. Did you say this last time? And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. I take it Lana's having you run errands again? Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here, she asked me to give you... What? She asked me to give this to you if there was a break in today's trial. Evidence law? Edgeworth was talking about this dish the other day. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. We know about evidence law now. Nick clearly does not know about evidence law because he never needed to, because as a defense attorney in this game, he does not directly handle the evidence. Most of the time. The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said, if you're planning to take him on, you're going to need this book. Him. I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. We'll do exactly that, I'm sure. Doesn't look like that book would do you any good now, though. All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat, despite all these allegations being thrown at me? Mr. Edgeworth! The real trial today hasn't begun yet. What? What else is there left to do? Your credibility's been all but ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death, and now you're telling me you want to do more? You've got to be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely struck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. For I agree. It's hurt way too many people at this point. Gant's whole shenanigan has really, really gone too far at this point. Before we do come back from the recess, though, can I go back into that? Okay, I'm gonna go to the court record, look at the evidence law, check it out. Rule number 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Rule number 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relative to the case on trial. Those 2 rules are going to be important, especially that second one. Anyways, Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor. The Inquiry Committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Yes, well, normally this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness. But, this isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have, struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses? I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone has been talking and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. What? Well, there's no precedent for what you're proposing. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal. This kind of gives us an advantage, too. We can call whoever we want / need to up to that stand. The defense may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright, you do realize that this is your last chance? If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. The defense calls... Time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. That kind of gives you a hint of who to call. We call out Damon Gant. Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything? As a defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely man to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right, bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand. All right, we're doing this. Also, can I just say I really like this guy's theme. I really like his theme. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this? Some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy. Are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. So, you want to play hardball, huh? Please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto! What's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh? Like what? Like the role you played in all of this. Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal? Weapons? Sure, take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. Technically, everybody does, but hey, this is a different legal system. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Very well, the witness may now begin his testimony. Oh boy! We're finally hearing Damon Gant's testimony on all this. Excuse me. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. Make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. Yeah, but we know that's a lie. We know for a fact that that is a lie because we found evidence in his safe. The only person who knows the passcode to his safe is someone who knows his ID number, which is probably not Lana. Lana probably does not know his ID number, even though it seems pretty easy to remember. If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I better hit him hard and fast. Exactly. We know he's lying. He's claiming to have nothing to do with the forgery. We know for a fact he's lying. Let's find that evidence statement. Evidence statement? No, evidence list. We need to present the evidence list. You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery. But I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this list, for example. That's the list Emma Sky drew her picture on. This was discovered in your desk. Not only that, but a piece of this jar that I was sitting in your office was found inside your safe. It was found where? You see, Chief Gant, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in this illegal investigation. Wow, I flubbed that up, didn't I? Chief Gant, what is the meaning of this? Here's a defense attorney you may even rival Worthy. So, you admit to it then? That you were involved in the forgery? Who, me? Or do you mean you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Righto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. Yes, well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office, and their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene. My. Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. Is that true? We'll see about that, won't we, Gant? Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. He says that, and yet that's not true. Or at least we don't think it's true. Who knows if it's true or not? This guy's a defense attorney. You really think a rookie defense attorney nonetheless. You do understand he doesn't really know the protocol when it comes to investigations, because most of the time he's not allowed to investigate as in-depth as the prosecutors are. Great, Gant's about to press charges. Let's not do that. Alright, Udgy. In return, though... I know, that place, right? Huh? What are these guys, telepathic? Oh no, there must be close enough friends where they can understand each other without speaking, because, you know, everyone has friends like that, though I guess Nick doesn't from the sounds of it. Poor Nick. Anyways, press on that last statement. Really, Chief Gant? At the very least, there is one large benefit you've reaped from all this. Oh? I wasn't aware. What is this benefit? That would of course be the position you have, Chief of Police. Oh. The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That in itself is sufficient motive. Oh, that's a good one. Huh? Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a little. Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes, he was going to make chief anyway. Ah! Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at. So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else. Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There. It's out in the open now. Udgy, would you mind if I change my testimony a little? By all means, please do. I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. You sure about that?
Hold it!
You know what? That's true, actually. He actually said the truth. He wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for him. Nothing in it for you? Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you'd better think again. You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone. Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised. You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though. Oh, that's a good one, Worthy. Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out? No, or point out the accomplice. Point out the accomplice. She already admitted it to us. True, you might not help anyone for their sake, but if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone. Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to portray the chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand. That's definitely not what we're doing here. That's not what I mean. Very well then. Who is this person you believe the chief may have helped forge evidence? His partner, duh, Lana Skye. Who else would he have done? Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye. The defendant? I believe it's quite obvious in the light of the circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister Lana? And as for the Chief Gant, he would also have a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit. Self-profit? What do you mean? After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Skye was appointed chief prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant. But how would he profit from all this? He would be able to use the chief prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations. Do you mean to tell me, despite the chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Oh, wait. You must mean puppet as in someone forced to do his bidding. Never mind. Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana in forging evidence. Your motive? To appoint her as chief prosecutor so you can control her. Righto, my boy. You have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something. What? You have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Lana, she's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant. I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture. Unless that is also what happened in that incident. This incident? Which one would that be? Of course I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The chief prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone had been controlling her. Worthy, You'd better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Just what do you mean? What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the Chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement. What? It's a bold claim to make, but it is true. Oh, are you gonna lose control again? Oh, never mind. Huh? This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. To accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder? That's impossible. People in positions of power could do anything. Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in an easier to understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. It looks like he's the one who decided to go through with this. Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? The chief, a high-ranking officer of law, is involved in this murder? Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell. Oh, I see. Alright then. Let's see what Mr. Wright's got. And it better be good. Show us this evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman. Where is that list? That ID card record? The missing 7777 number that entered at 420 is quite clearly his. We know that now.
This is the ID card list.
Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list that we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 77777777. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number. It's your number.
What? How do you know that?
The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code.
The 7 digits? You don't mean...
I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 77777777. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. Look at his face. He's not happy that we pointed that out. Look at his face. What do you have to say, Chief Gant? Nothing. The defense's search in my office was in violation of regulations. And I will demand Mr. Wright to be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card.
Chief Gant? So you admit it? You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime?
What about it? I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do at the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him in days? Chief Gant, I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman.
What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt.
Objection!
No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting?
In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence.
Show us proof that the victim went to meet Chief Gant on the day of the crime. Okay, we need to present the missing item report that Goodman was filling out. I have no idea what page that's on. Oh, found it. Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or, to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So, Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the chief of police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day.
He needed to?
Yes, to transfer the evidence out. Oh. Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room.
I accompanied him?
There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on. Let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the chief of police, murdered poor Goodman. Exactly.
But wait, the chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card.
Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort.
Objection!
Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet you showed us your card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body. You've got... Ooh, look at that. You've got nothing else, nowhere to go, buddy.
Chief Gant, you didn't.
The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course.
You're forgetting, Mr. Wright, that the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor office's parking lot.
How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police department the entire day, you know.
And everyone is aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony.
Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal.
Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it?
Hey you, take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office.
I don't think so.
Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we needed to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time, I thought it was just a useless clue just taking up space.
How could a chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us this evidence.
To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. Where is it? Parking stub! This is how he moved Detective Goodman's body.
A parking stub? Miles Edgeworth.
You mean... This body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car.
Objection!
You mean I carried the victim's body? Precisely so. But wait, even you know, I didn't plan on returning to my office after the ceremony was finished that day. But you did return. Tell me, why?
I was asked to go, by Chief Gant, no less. He told me he wanted to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here.
So you see, what you were really taking to the prosecutor's office wasn't the screwdriver, but the victim's body in your trunk.
Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car.
Yes, unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Skye. You are losing control of this courtroom quick.
Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations?
Think back to the photograph Miss Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of a body being stuffed in a trunk to be taken away.
It was exactly the opposite. It is a photo of the body being taken from the trunk.
Chief Gant, please say something.
I believe your time's up.
My time's up?
Sorry, Wright, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're going to make it in time for the early bird special.
Objection!
But this cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal.
Weapons?
Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now.
What? That is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered.
Objection!
So you're going to just run away after all this? Run away? Don't make me laugh, Worthy. I stabbed old Goodman. That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, You think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with.
I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof.
Well, Mr. Wright, Your Honor,
Do you have any concrete proof?
proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Skye dispose of his body? Do I have any concrete proof? Present evidence or I have no proof yet. We don't have proof yet. We do not have the proof. We don't have the relative evidence. The evidence is not proven to be relevant yet. We don't have the evidence. It's no use showing evidence if I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor. At the present, I have no conclusive evidence. See, Yachi?
In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief.
What? Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, Righto. It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Yachi, I'll leave the rest to you. Not just yet, though.
I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency.
Objection!
Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her.
Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean?
There is one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth. Another witness. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. But Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else. One more witness who can answer all the questions raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room.
Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person?
Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling the witnesses today.
Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist?
She may not be willing to tell the truth, but we can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls forth Lana Skye.
The defendant, Miss Lana Skye?
She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 on February 21st. Her task? To dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders.
Mr. Edgeworth?
The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor.
Very well, the court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, you will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now
Hold on. Ooh, Chief Gant, I thought you were gone, buddy. Listen good, Lana. He's talking to Lana. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. This isn't good. Of course, you'd never support such an outrageous claim anyway, right? Just something to think about. Alright then, I've got a lunch date to meet.
Don't tell me you're still gonna take his side. That was blatant. He was blatantly threatening Lana right there. That was blatant. That was just written so clearly.
Edgeworth, are you okay? Looks like we managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks to your help, Edgeworth. That chief, he's something else, eh, pals? Detective Gumshoe. I'm not a detective anymore. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Don't worry, I've already decided where to work now. At your office. My office? Sure, I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with. Could he mean Maya? Still, looks like you're all out of moves now. Chief Gaunt's done it again. How's he always get the upper hand? It's not fair he has a right to refuse to testify. Settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said. Yeah, it comes with serious risks. Risks? What did he mean by that? It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. Who's saying that?
Emma! She's back!
Emma, are you okay?
Yeah, when I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery.
So, she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before.
No, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny. I almost feel somehow relieved.
Relieved?
Yeah. Now I finally know what really happened. To think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. And she did it all just to protect me.
Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she had changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gaunt's orders. She must have shut herself up deep inside, to force herself to do anything and everything the chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold.
It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall.
Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal.
Chief Gaunt may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor.
I see. Well, we better get back. It's time for the final act. Emma, why don't you wait here?
No, I'm going with you. I want to be there when Lana tells the truth.
Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this.
Not exactly just yet. We're going to end this in the next episode because, like I said, we have a trial forward, a trial ladder, and a trial ladder 2. So we're going to end this next time. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye!